Hey, love. Welcome to No Matcha, No Mama, the podcast where we pour a little matcha and a whole lot of truth. Each week, I sit down with someone I admire, founders, healers, creatives, and friends, and we sip a matcha I've made just for them based on what they love. I like to do everything with intention, from the ingredients in your cup to the conversations that we have. And this show is more than just about talking. It's about exploring how we can truly thrive through all the mess and magic of being human. Here we start with matcha because how we start matters. So today with me, I have Leslie Kritzer and Madison Han, who are the founders of Skin Worship. It's a Los Angeles studio redefining modern skincare through harmony of science, spirituality, and intuitive touch. And it's guided by their own wellness journeys. They've built a space rooted in balance, ritual, and transformation, where skin is seen as a reflection of inner vitality and self-connection. And I'm so excited to have them here so we can dive into their story, their philosophy, and energy behind Skin Worship and all the different fun facial treatments. So thank you so much for being with me.
Yeah,
thanks for having
us, Dina. We're excited to be here.
Mm-hmm. So I made you a matcha. It's my ritual in the morning. It's the way that I start my day. And I was wondering, I'll ask each one of you, but like, what are your rituals to start your morning? And it can be one or multiple, whatever it is.
You want to go first or shall I? Me? Okay. This is delicious, by the way. Mm-hmm. I love the milk. I have coconut milk with my matcha.
Coconut cashew, I love.
My iced cold brew that I have sometimes. My morning rituals really, they start in bed when I wake up. I do take a few minutes before I actually get out of bed and start moving my body, but I go right to the bathroom. Like I'm like a Nazi. I just go to the bathroom and I wash my face every morning and brush my teeth right then and there because I have kids. Like, if I don't do those two things, I have like a hectic vibe in the morning.
Interesting.
If I like do those two things for myself first, then I'm like, yes, I can make breakfast. Yes, I can do vitamins. Yes, I can pack backpacks and lunches and do all those things. Yeah. So those are my two things. And with that cleanse, I am massaging my eyes. I'm moving the lymph out from under my eyes. I'm just getting that blood flowing.
How long is the massage? And do you use a gua sha?
I don't use a gua sha. I'm a hands girl. I love gua sha in the treatment room sometimes. There's a place for it, but no, I'm getting in there with my hands. And I do it for like 30 seconds if I can, 2 minutes, if, it just depends. Yeah, but as long as you're doing it, I think with intention and I'm like alone and breathing and
alone is
looking
important.
At myself in the mirror and being like, all right, we got this day. Yeah, the alone time, even if it's 2 minutes, makes a big difference for me.
Beautiful. Yeah. What about you, Leslie?
Yeah, before I even get out of bed, I meditate now. I get out of bed. I mean, I have to sit up and you have to be not asleep. It's important to be relaxed but not asleep in meditation. And oftentimes I used to meditate and do guided meditation where I would just fall right back asleep because it's so relaxing.
Yeah.
But the important part is I'm sort of regulating my nervous system from the get-go. Out of the gate, I tend to be anxious, overwhelming. I come at people fast and hard, and I'm really learning how to try to step back and be a better listener and just be able to be more patient. Road rage is such a thing in LA, and it's really dangerous driving. Everybody's so distracted, and I've almost gotten into several accidents. And I was thinking, mindfulness, like you really have to practice I do that in the treatment room. I'm great at it in the treatment room for directing others, but I'm really having to now do it for myself.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard, like even when you just talk about things and preach things, to actually make sure that you're the one embodying those things. Because it's easier to tell others to do something, and you don't always do it yourself.
I know, and it doesn't come across, because I always felt it was okay because there was an era where I was really relaxed and calm and did yoga every day. And I'm like, well, I once did that, so I can tell them to do it. But now I'm like, no, I think it's more authentic if I actually do it.
If you embody that, for sure. I totally hear that. So I want to start on your individual stories of what you were doing before Skin Worship. Was there a healing journey that took place in order to get there? Like, what was the whole, I guess, process behind it?
Yeah, I mean, before Skin Worship, my story is a little shorter than Leslie. We have about a 20-year age gap. And so I'm from Michigan originally, born and raised in the Midwest, and moved to LA at 19. and I suffered from rosacea. I actually listened to one of your podcasts about your story, and I'm like, oh, we've got a lot in common with like the constipation and and I was just told, oh, your grandma was constipated, and from my mom, I'm constipated, my family and you are too. Sorry, and I'm like, this sucks, It doesn't constantly have to be that trying way. To figure out what's going on with my body and why do I feel sick? Why do I feel tired? So that was always underlying, an underlying part of my story. But I came out to LA and I was a makeup artist at first, and I was covering up people's skin issues constantly. And then I was like, why are these girls having these crazy breakouts, or why is this rosacea so intense? And then I really was like, I got to fix skin, because the girls with the good skin, you hardly need makeup, and you're glowing. And I realized it was like a really emotional thing for a lot of people too. So that was the beginning of me switching gears into skincare. And after I went to aesthetic school, I didn't have the funds to like buy all the equipment and get all the accounts with like the top professional lines. And I was still really good at makeup and lash extensions and brows. So that was kind of my little, business that I did myself. And I actually met Leslie because I needed a little room to rent where I could do my lash extensions and my brow shapings and, makeup for weddings and things like that. And so Leslie on Craigslist had an ad out actually. And this is like circa 2011, something.
On Craigslist?
Yes.
On Craigslist.
I rented a room. Yeah, I met her and I rented a room for rent. And we synergistically kind of worked side by side in this cute little space on Robertson here in LA. And she just kind of saw my passion. I was like, she has all the stuff. She's got the equipment. She's got the machines. She's got all the skincare that I want to.
So you were doing facials?
Yep.
I was. And it's interesting because she came in at a time where I was wanting to step away from the treatment room for a little bit. So I actually did I trained Madison, and Madison was a natural. And I think people who actually are trying to heal themselves are the best healers always. So she had that healer capacity. And that's, my story as well. And so I trained her, and then I stepped away for a while, and she was manning the room, and I set her up with a few influencers that, were just very OG, and Instagram was just having its moment. And so we got really busy very quickly. I came back into the treatment room, and then we grew.
Yeah. And she basically was like, do you want to do this together? Do you want to start a business and really do this together? Because for a while I was like renting out her room and using her things after she trained me. And we just kind of had this like month by month thing going on, which worked well for a while. But we were like, we could do something really big together. And that's how Skin Worship was born. And we partnered, and we just started meeting like-minded girls. And the thing is, like, why I chose to start out with lashes, I went on a bunch of interviews at, the Four Seasons. You could be an esthetician in a spa setting, or I could go to like a dermatologist, but they're just like writing prescriptions for like topical retinols, and nothing felt aligned with what I wanted. I didn't even know exactly why I didn't feel aligned with those things at the time. Until I met Leslie. And then I was like, this is why, because I want to figure out the root cause to things and help people heal. And so that was why we created Skin Worship, because it truly, nothing like this existed back then.
So I want to ask a little bit about your background before I jump into this. But what were you doing? What were you doing before you were giving facials? And was there any moments, what was your healing journey like in terms of, was there any sort of health crisis or anything like that brought you to it? Or
yes, I would say psychologically first. I had like a separation anxiety from my family when I was little. I couldn't sleep out, couldn't go to friends' houses without feeling like I had to come home in the middle of the night. My dad passed away when I was really young, and there was a lot of chaos early on in those very formative years. So I needed, the grounding, and I always needed to know that I had a safe home, and I was forever chasing that feeling. And the more we chase something, we know the harder it's evasive, right? And so, or elusive. One of those words will probably work. But anyway, through not feeling psychologically safe, it all, like most women, affected my stomach. I also have antibodies for Crohn's. My dad died of some complicated Crohn's. This is unheard of. In the 70s, it was He was like at UCLA. They took him out of Cedars. They put him in experimental UCLA, and they went like as radical as they could to try to save him. So it was an intense death for me, and I witnessed it. And then I took on like a lot of stomach issues as well. And I got diagnosed at 11 or 12 with spastic, what they called, now it's IBS, they called it spastic colon. I was like looking like a woman giving birth. I would be screaming.
That's awful.
And it was all emotionally triggered. But they didn't know that then. So they put me through the diet. I did all the testing. And they just call it sort of spastic colon.
Did any of that stuff help?
Yeah, because certain foods are inflammatory. Certain foods can trigger an already delicate system. So I think that there's always a physiological component that we have to be mindful of. And like foods do trigger certain physiology. However, if we're not dealing with root cause, which is more often than not psychological, it's so systemic. And now they're doing so much more somatic work, which is centering in the body of where you feel the discomfort. And a lot of people will say my stomach, right?
Yeah, this is generally where I feel a lot of my anxiety or stress. Like it's right here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
That's the stomach.
It's the stomach. And the throat too. Like I'll get moments of throat, which is they say that you're not speaking, you're not feeling like you're being heard, or you're not getting to speak your truth. So all of these things really correlate with like very ancient wisdom, which is what traditional medicine never did for me. No. I like had to go on my own journey and go back to the root ancient wisdom to really figure, and don't get me wrong, I love Occidental medicine for what it can do in a crisis. It's quick.
For sure.
There's like the best surgeons. We're so lucky. There's so much innovation. There's so much good biotech. However, you can't replace certain things, certain modalities that weren't integrated, unfortunately, for a very long time, especially when I was growing up. So I was always seeking, and I, came from a family that was like, go to the doctor, get a prescription. And they just, doctors were gods back then. And I was always a little rebellious, and I always was curious, and I was always trying to figure things out. And when things didn't work for me, I went on my own path. Sometimes you would find me at a Scientology center. I just wanted to know. Like I wasn't really into Scientology, and my family
curious.
Yeah, I was curious. My family was always like, what is she doing? One day I made an appointment in college with an iridologist. My mom's like, what's an iridologist? I'm like, they look at your eye and they decide, where they can tell like your system and your organs. And so these were things that I sort of downloaded literally from source, maybe, because they weren't introduced to me. So I don't, you know what I mean?
How else would you have figured it out?
How else would I figure it out? And so my skin was beautiful, thank God, through high school, because that's a really important time for skin to be good. But I went through radical, like systemic breakouts in my 30s after I got married. And I was always at the derm getting cortisone injections until I begged for Accutane, which she was like, you're not bad enough for Accutane. And it was for me really bad because skin is public. It's embarrassing. And so I remember waking up first thing in the morning to go check if there was a new one. Because like it was starting to clear up, and then you go and that feeling.
And that stress makes it worse, because that stress is just going to cause more breakouts. So it's almost like it's amplifying itself as you're going through it. Like when you're trying to make it go away, you're waking up stress, and then in turn, you're just creating more and more breakout.
So I was on a JAG. I got the JAG taken care of through Accutane. So I tell people sometimes. There are certain people I definitely recommend that they should have a consult about Accutane. It did change the way, it changed my skin so that I could calm down, and then I could get to the root causes. Sometimes antibiotics, there's a space for those things because our bodies go off.
And even, we have these kind of conversations all the time, but even like SSRIs and other like psychiatric type drugs, like long-term, we know how terrible they are and how they really change your brain chemistry. But if someone is in a particular situation and a drug like that could help for 6 weeks while they and then you wean off, and then you can change your life, and then you're on the, like there's a time and a place. And Accutane and some antibiotics, there's a moment here and there where it's like, okay, but if you do it, no, these are the risks. If you're on antibiotics, it's going to destroy your gut microbiome. You have to be on back. Yeah, and you have to be on a good probiotic, and you have to do these things to kind of combat the cons. There's pros and cons to everything. And we're really just like the more information you know, the better choices you can make for you. That's always our motto at the end of the day.
So when you guys are working with people and giving them facials, you're giving them more than just like skin advice. You're kind of trying to figure out what's causing
Yes.
their
yeah.
flare-ups or whatever it may be.
If I have a new client in the first 5 minutes, I want to know, are you on birth control? Like, have you taken antibiotics recently? I want to know, what's your diet like? Do you avoid any foods? Do you eat a lot of certain things? Like, I want to know all of these things because they all impact the skin. How much are you sleeping? What are your stress levels like? You know, do you suffer from anxiety? Do you get depressed? I want to know all across the board where you're at with these certain markers.
Are you recommending anything to them to take, or like what are your...
Yeah, it's so dependent on the person and their needs and even their lifestyle. Like I ask people, like if it's not realistic for you to cut out gluten, I'm not going to tell you should cut out gluten. Like I want to figure this out with what you're also capable of in this moment today. Maybe in a month something might happen and you're like, I've had it. I'm down to be 100% gluten free. Let's try it. But not every, you got to meet people where they're at and hold space for them too. Not everyone's ready to do all the radical things right off the bat.
Sometimes it can feel really overwhelming if someone hasn't cut something out of their diet.
Yeah. And that's why, we meet estheticians and we only bring in certain people because you can't train someone to have intuition and have that intuitive touch and that, therapeutic energy where it's like, this person's not quite ready for that, but they might be okay with like introducing these products or maybe introducing a supplement. And you have to work with people. You really do. You have to kind of not overwhelm them, know that you have their back and their best intentions, and everyone's, roadmap looks a little differently.
Yeah, it sounds like this is very different than the approach of like a normal facialist would give, right? Because you're because facialists just treat the skin and they, do whatever they do, but they're not, I don't know that I've ever been to a facial where we discuss anything that's going on internally.
Yeah. I mean, we do as much of an audit as we can. Oftentimes people, myself included, again, we can see things the way we want to see things. We have our own stories. Like, am I gluten-free? Yeah. But do I do occasional sourdough because I adore it? Absolutely.
Sure.
Like, we don't always know.
Yeah.
Our minds are funny that way. Like, we can edit for ourselves the things that we don't really want to even face ourselves and actually convince ourselves that we're not doing sugar. And then I'll give people a moment. I'll be like, there's no shame. I love sugar. But sugar does this, and it feeds a lot of the bacterias and a lot of the opportunistic organisms that we're trying to control when it comes to skin. So I don't want you to take this as a judgment or a shame thing because we all like sugar and it's introduced in almost everything. It's not your fault.
Everybody likes sugar.
Yeah.
It's a drug.
It's a drug.
It is, yeah. I don't know who doesn't like sugar.
No, it's a drug. But think about it. I go, but think about like how much sugar maybe you just sit with it, like that you're taking, even if it's natural in the form of fruit. Because in a candida diet, for instance, you are
I'm very familiar with that, unfortunately.
Most women are.
So many people have candida and have no idea too.
It's overgrowth. And so oftentimes you have to starve it. And the only way to starve it is you got to cut it all out. And so people actually go through withdrawals. And the withdrawals are very uncomfortable because it's not, what people don't understand is these little critters that are parasites that want to live, they want to live and they live off of simple sugars. They make you crazy because they're wanting to live. So they're inside of you rocking the boat going,
you want sugar. You want sugar.
Yeah. And it literally
messes with your brain.
Yes.
It's funny you talk about candida because I was going through a phase where I had it for a long time and I could not. I was taking supplements. I was cutting sugar out of my diet. And it was one of those moments where I went to my gynecologist and I was like, you need to give me an antifungal because nothing that I'm doing is working. I tried the like suppositories and all of the things that are supposed to like help you get rid of the overgrowth.
Yeah.
And nothing worked. And I did the antifungal and it went away. And I haven't gotten it since. So like that's a situation. I don't like antibiotics either. And I don't like over-the-counter medications. But like in that scenario, that was the only thing that did it for me.
Yep. And it's like everybody's, there's no one size fits all.
No.
And it's like, we can try this. And if it doesn't work, we're going to do this. Or if you're comfortable, you can go right to this. There's a higher chance it might work right off the bat.
I was driving myself absolutely insane, and I was so uncomfortable for months and months and months. And I was like, I'm so over this.
Yeah.
Candida's
tricky.
It's people now are, compounding for rosacea what would be also compounded in a sense for candida. I mean, that's weird, right? It's close. They're compounding.
What is rosacea? Like, what is it? What causes the rosacea?
That's the question. I mean, it used to be considered a vascular, it could be genetic, a vascular condition. It is a vascular condition where you're getting broken capillaries and you're getting a lot of inflammation. Circulation is a little bit just more than other people's circulation. You're getting red. And it could be caused by alcohol, which is sugar. So that's funny. That's your first clue. It could also be diabetes, another clue. But they weren't putting it together, right? They weren't it's like a fungus on your body. And so now Metrogel was like the go-to for perioral and also sometimes for rosacea. And then they started realizing that our body adapts. These funguses get very smart and they're like, okay, I know what you are now. I'm gonna live through you.
And those topicals stop working. Like you get results for a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months, and then they stop.
They like adapt and
they become
morph.
resistant.
Yes,
they become resistant. So then they mixed it with that azelaic acid, which is an acid that not often used, and it tricks bacteria because it's a different pH. They can't thrive as well. Then they also recently do a trifecta adding ivermectin, which I always thought was interesting because ivermectin is also an antiparasite, antiparasitic.
I've heard very cool things about ivermectin, but I'm going to let you continue because maybe we can talk about that after.
Yeah. And so I asked a client who really suffered no bumps, which I usually see pustules. It usually presents with a little tiny pustules. It was just red, and she gets perioral. Her perioral was seemingly under control, but her chin was just red. And it was unresponsive to this formula. Her derm also prescribed this trifecta, and it wasn't working. And I said, well, has anything worked? And she said, not really. She's, now she's doing IVF. So there's a hormonal component because it really flared with the IVF.
Of course.
And I said, how about doing, body likes homeostasis. It seeks homeostasis. What if you don't wash your face really for a couple days? Don't use creams, don't use oils, literally let it dry out and start over. She goes, I've done that and it kind of works, but it comes back. So the argument about the body seeks homeostasis is also, to me, this is why science is so fascinating, is it continues to evolve, right? Like maybe homeostasis for you or homeostasis for you or maybe homeostasis is not so easily found in someone's body who tends to have more vascular issues or tends to, be more diabetic or we inherit things from our family.
Can you explain what homeostasis is for people who don't know what it is?
Yes. Homeostasis it's sort of how the body regulates its balance. It's when it's in a state of health, harmony, and balance.
So it's like the ideal baseline for whatever we're talking about, whether it's your skin barriers and homeostasis, it is thick, it's healthy, it is in an ideal state. Or it's your gut health, like you're having bowel movements when you should, there's no pain, there's no rectal bleeding, there's no, red flags going off. It's the same for all these different things. That homeostasis is like the goal of harmony, like Leslie said. But I want to tag on what she's saying about rosacea because I suffered from rosacea. Just like I suffered from constipation. My grandma has slight rosacea. My mom gets rosacea.
And inherited it.
Yes. So there's this genetic component. But then you throw me into the mix and I'm curious and I'm on this wellness journey and I'm, meeting people like Leslie and other doctors and other healers and all these people. And I'm trying to figure out how I heal my rosacea in my gut. And for me, my hormones were off. So pre-kids, I had my first son right before I turned 30. So my 20s, my rosacea was bad. You remember back in the day, I would have to.
Your skin looks perfect now.
Well, a lot has changed since then and now. But I did everything under the sun topically to try to figure it wouldn't work.
So frustrating.
And same with my gut. I would try to do these, nothing was working. And there's this genetic component, like Leslie was saying, with vascular health. And I would get nosebleeds a lot when I was little. My second son, my littlest, he gets nosebleeds all the time. Like our capillaries don't heal well. So the strength of our veins and our capillaries are weak. That's a genetic thing that got passed down. But then you add like these emotional components and my nervous system health and the way I cope with stress and how that affects me on a biological, physiological level and my hormones. My periods were off from the day I had one. They came really late. I didn't even start my period till I was like 15 years old.
No, that's when I started mine.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. I was like the late girl at my school. I had boobs and like no period. I was like, what's happening? But I was also a dancer and really physical as a young girl. So, but ever since I had my period, it was like, get on birth control because your period's not normal. It's not regular and it needs to be regulated.
I love how that was what we were told to do if your period wasn't regular, is to go on birth control.
I maybe had my period for 6 months before I got on birth control. And I was on birth control from 16 until I think I was 26 when I got off.
So I was like 24, 25,
And I tried different ones. And again, my rosacea, my gut were awful during this time. And my emotional health and the way I dealt with stress, and it was all off. And so I get off birth control. I get married. We're like kind of in that phase where we're ready to have kids. I'm like really getting healthy and diving into like how healthy does my body need to be, my husband's body need to be to have like healthy children. And everything changed. And especially after I had my first son, I mean, I did tests and I got more information from naturopathic doctors about what foods cause inflammation for me. And I stopped eating eggs and cow's milk and certain things that caused inflammation. And definitely
for her, not for everyone.
Right, for
course,
me
for you
in particular. That made a big difference. But also just having my nervous system in check and having like a different sense of purpose. And I really had a heavy amount of worry in my 20s and like trying to make it and hustling and on that grind. The stress. And my dad died young. I was 21. So that was like
20.
Really? So you know, that's like a really formative, your frontal lobes are not developed. That's like a traumatic
experience
event for anyone to deal with. So there's just all these things and you want to get the big picture and kind of like one thing at a time, you know? And I've had regular periods ever since I got off birth control and I had my kids and I changed my diet and I cut out these certain things.
Changed your lifestyle too.
Changed my lifestyle. And, you know, that's my story. And I don't have to have any specific product to keep my rosacea away now, which is insane.
Like I kind of went away.
Yeah. And I go to the bathroom more regularly.
But to be fair, I just want to say, because sometimes I think people who are watching this might be like, if I do everything right.
And no, this, and I'm telling this was years of like tweaking and tweaking and tweaking.
Sure. No, I wasn't trying to minimize it. I just,
but
I just want to make sure everybody understands how hard it can be.
And it could come back because my life could get stressful or I might make some changes that aren't good for me. And I'm going to have to come back to figure out, you know, what piece of the puzzle got jacked up that I have to fix again. Yeah. I mean, that's life, right? Like
you do your best.
Yeah.
And I think safe people, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who makes you feel in your body embodied? She talked about, I had family, I had kids, I had a sense of purpose. And I wonder how much hormones for women and men, but for the purpose of this conversation, how much hormones fluctuate well, we know that hormones fluctuate a lot based on where we are in our lives and our nervous system. But also hormones fluctuate throughout the day.
Yeah.
Hormones fluctuate throughout our lifetimes. Like
every month.
Menopause brings its own, I'm in menopause, brings its own kind of thing. So now where I used to use certain products and do really well with them, they were my OGs. I recently brought them back because I was like, you know, all the new shiny stuff, and I know I miss some of my OGs, and they were always really beautiful clinical formulations. And sometimes, you know, you want to try it again. And so I went back to it, and it was so active for me that I broke out. And I was thinking that I'm past breaking out. Like at this stage, like I don't really break out. So there's no absolutes in skin. I want to just be so clear for anybody that's listening. There are no absolutes. It's a constant. It's an organism. It's skins. We're in an era where it's like this is the glass skin model. People are showing pictures of filtered skin over and over and over again.
All over.
And skin people start to feel a sense of shame. And I think we're here to tell you that we have seen a lot of skin, and most of the skin that people see is filtered. People have different colorations with it. They don't have one color in their skin.
My skin
Different
has so many different colors. It
tones.
looks normal now because I'm wearing like a little bit of makeup to like just smooth it out. But like everybody's, I agree with you.
Yeah, there's
People have-
imperfections and it's normal.
being
It's
imperfect
normal.
is perfect.
It
like,
is.
You shouldn't want to be perfect. There is this strive, like, I want to piggyback off of that, but I think that in society, like, there's a strive for like perfection, or like having perfect skin, looking perfect in all these different ways. And it puts a lot of pressure on women, and it makes them feel shame when they feel like, oh, well, their skin is perfect. Why isn't my skin perfect, right? Comparison is also the thief of joy, but like,
Yeah.
It is the biggest thief of joy, and it's the era we are in, and it almost burned me out of wanting to be in skin anymore. I mean, I have to be honest, like Madison and I, she has to like talk me off the ledge because I'm like, this industry is boring me. Like, it's actually very superficial. It's not what we came here to do. The conversations are like, I want to just be hotter. I want to be, and we're normalizing something that I don't think should be normalized, and it's not sexy. It's not even beautiful to me. In fact, I came from an era where the supermodels and the models and the beauty were iconic beauties. Like, people weren't trying to be perfect. I look at movies now of women that were considered the biggest sex symbols, and you'll see little hairs, right? Because they don't filter that stuff out anymore. Like, Marilyn Monroe was fuzzy. I literally like now look at, no, it's funny. I look, and people were allowed to be human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their teeth weren't like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
now there are such high standards for
God.
everybody, and I guess I just want people to realize that we don't have to be perfect, and we don't need to look a certain way. Everyone is an individual and unique and beautiful in their own way, and that is beautiful in itself.
It's so beautiful, and it's interesting. I actually fall into a phase the more it's unique, because I'm like constantly like, you know, looking into it and getting the characteristics of it. And I feel like most people actually think that the goal is this symmetry, this harmony that they're talking about, that doctors are talking about, this signature sort of facial harmony and symmetry, because that's the universal standard of beauty. But it's boring. No offense to those people who have it. It is beautiful. It is nice to look at anything that's balanced. But truly, like a strong nose, like if people want to get rid of their heavy eyelid, that used to be called sexy, by the way, bedroom eyes. Like, it's just, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Let's take a step back.
And they're your genetics too. Like, I think there's something beautiful
Yeah.
about passing down your genes. And there's also something beautiful and empowering about feeling good and doing what you want with your body. And, you know, I understand both. But especially as a mom, like, you want your kids to look at you and be like, I have my dad's nose and I have the, you know, and if you're like totally changing your face.
They have no idea where they got any
this
of it.
or that,
Yeah.
or should they even look like that? Maybe they need to change. I'm like, I just want to be so far away
Yeah.
from that mentality that you're beautiful the way you are. The way you were born is the way source, God, creator, the universe created you. And there's so much beauty in that. And when Leslie kind of goes off the rails sometimes, like, I can't handle all these girls that want perfect this, perfect that. They're all about the filters. And I'm like, I know, but like, we're here to remind them. We're here to do some nervous system work. We're here to ground them and kind of bring them back into their body and into their power. And that's our message. That's why we're here. That's what Skin Worship stood for 10 years ago when we first started it. And it still makes sense now, even though
Be curious
things have
about
gotten
your
crazy.
skin. Be
Yeah.
curious at where it's taking you. And also, when someone loves you, when you're in front of somebody that loves you, you feel and you radiate beauty, and they see you as beautiful. And
They're not looking at all the imperfections in your skin.
No.
I have never, ever come
don't care.
across.
No.
Also, men,
Right?
a lot of men don't even care
No.
at all.
No.
It's really about the women, right? I feel like everyone's trying to impress other women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
That's true.
I was just going to say, when I got divorced in 2022, and I was dating, and it was really interesting because I found out that this one guy that I was dating was married to an ex really close friend of mine that I'm not friends with anymore. And I didn't even know it was her when he was telling me the story, but he was sharing with me because he knew I was in the beauty industry, he wasn't trying to gossip or do whatever, but he was saying from his experience about the beauty industry, being in music, he had a lot of clients that were top, like Madonna, like a lot of people. And he said, it's a slippery slope for you women. And he said, I mean, how do you navigate all that? And so we had this really intelligent conversation, but he brought up a perspective that I had never thought of. It's a family affair when you get work done on your face. If you're married and have kids, this individualism that we're leading with, and yes, I nod to that a little bit, but when you come home completely different, it's hard on your kids because they are in love with your face the way it is. They think you're beautiful. If you're getting multiple lasers and you're chasing, you're bruised and you're maimed. By the way, you can look maimed after a visit.
Yeah.
We laugh at it, we look swollen, we do the thing, we laugh at it amongst ourselves. But for men and for children, seeing this routinely is a stressor. And I didn't even think about that because I've always been women's liberation. We want to look our best. And there was always but you're looking at the hot woman. Yeah, you say to me, I don't need to do anything. But then you're looking across the room and there's this woman that looks that way. So I understand both sides of this, of this conversation. However, I do think that it is a bit of a family affair and it is okay to check in about what is this going to do to our relationship and our relationship as a family, which is an ecosystem, if I decide to get, a lot of corrective work done. And that's just, again, we have these faces that spark joy in the people that love us. And even recently I had a friend that got a nose refinement and it looks really good and I'm glad it makes her feel good, But her face beforehand, like it sparked, at first I was a little bit hesitant because like I thought her nose was beautiful. I love her face, you know what I mean? So, and I really don't care either what, I'm not like, I don't have a dog in that fight at all, but just thinking about it, how even for me as a friend feeling that way, like, oh, do you really want to do that? It's a thing, changing yourself.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to look your best or buff out your fine lines or like get a good facial. But it is a slippery slope and people start seeing themselves and especially with the fillers and they want more and they want more and that one wasn't enough. And now, and it changes the way your muscles move and and now you have these lines showing, whereas these are buffed out, but now you got lines under your eyes you don't like or around your mouth. And it's just the nitpicking of self, I think is really toxic in the end. Some people who are really disciplined and have self-control and are like, I'm good with a little Botox once a year, or, they have their ways around it that they can cope. I think that's great, but it's a really slippery slope in today's world where like nothing's ever enough. And we're constantly swiping and we're constantly like needing to be getting those dopamine hits and those serotonin hits. And you get it from changing things about yourself or getting attention. And that scares me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I see it in like young girls too. And I'm like,
well, they're getting younger and younger trying Botox
Yeah.
as preventative. I had this conversation earlier this week about younger kids getting preventative Botox. And you don't need it in your 20s.
No, you don't at all. At all.
Also, like, what's wrong with some lines in your face?
I love crows. When I see like happy little crow's feet, they're like little butterflies on the side of your face and smile. You smile. When people can't move their mouths, I'm like,
it's expression.
Yeah.
It's expression.
It's important.
It's
it
warmth
really is.
too. It takes out, it takes the warmth out of the face sometimes if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about your treatments. What are your favorite treatments in the facial room that aren't as invasive as like a Botox? Obviously, you don't do Botox and filler, but like microchanneling, microneedling, the exosomes, collagen and exosomes. Can you just also something that I saw you guys do is also PRX. Just like talk a little bit about all of those cool treatments that you do.
So I want to talk about PRX a little bit because I'm a big fan.
And what is it?
PRX is an acid. It's a non-peel peel. So it's TCA acid. And the way I explain it to people, because everyone needs I need a visual, so I give people visuals. TCA acid encapsulated in hydrogen peroxide. So there's a balloon of hydrogen peroxide surrounding that TCA acid molecule. And that hydrogen brings it down to the dermis, down to that collagen and elastin. And that's where it opens up and starts working. So it's a biostimulator. It's a topical biostimulator. If you're someone that is seeing fine lines and you don't want to get Botox and you do a series of PRX, your skin will look different.
Ooh,
and you will have all the
Mm-hmm.
muscle movement you want with a tight, firmer, smoother appearance.
And how many treatments do you need to do in order to like see a real result?
So the real result comes when you do it once a week for 4 weeks in a row.
Okay.
But I've even had clients like once a week is a lot to get in.
Yeah.
So even every 2 weeks, but you do it consistently for a good 4 sessions and you'll see a big difference. But even one session for some people that just have, little fine lines, or they have a wedding, or they're going to have their photo taken, it gives you this immediate bright glow, lifted.
And does
appearance.
it wear off at a certain point? Like, do you need to do more treatments after a certain amount of time? Like, what does that look like?
The answer to that is the answer that every doctor, every human should be giving to everybody all the time.
The truth,
every day.
people.
The truth. You're aging every day.
Right.
So-
So you do have to, just like you need to
Yes.
come back and do Botox and come
There's
back and
no
do all the
one
things. You have to come back and do it.
There's
You
no
have to do
magic pill.
everything.
There's no
No.
one magic cream that you use once and then your skin looks
Just
great
keep
forever.
taking care of your face.
It's maintenance. It is constant maintenance.
Constant maintenance.
Yes.
Just like you have to exercise. You get to stop. You have
So
to breathe. You
There
can't
are
stop.
buildable results. So if
Yeah.
you do things for a certain period of time, your result will last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
That is true. There's science behind that. And
does it matter like how old you, in terms of when you recommend people to come back, hey, if you want to see the best results, like come see me in like 2 months, 3 months, I guess, does their age affect the span of which it lasts? Did I ask that
yes,
correctly?
yes.
Because it's the environment.
Right.
So anything that you're introducing to an older environment is going to, again, the environment wins, because it's only as good as its support structure internally. So with exosomes, this is a good segue to make with the growth
Great.
factors and exosomes, which are the big rage right now. So what those are, they're nanovesicles inside of a stem cell that have all the information. So the repair information. As we age, we start to lose the power of regeneration. And we're designed to die.
Yeah.
We're designed
Truth again.
Truth.
Yeah, we are.
We're designed to not be here forever. We have our seasons. And so as we, age, we just don't have the same ability to regenerate or to fight things. Our bodies need more supplementation. They just need more outside. They need things to keep it going because and that's not true of everyone, right? Like there's tribal communities where they show that people living close to nature live till like 99 and they're strong. So again, there always are exceptions to rules.
But it's about their environment.
But it's their environment.
And their
again,
lifestyle.
And their lifestyle. But the environment for exosomes, if you were to inject them, we know nobody does them here in Los Angeles. But anyway, you're not supposed to. They're not FDA cleared. But exosomes from...
People in the beauty world will know.
Well, now, if you know, you know. Exosomes and stem cells taken from ethically always sourced. And most of this is sourced in the name of research and science, so it's all good, important. From umbilical cord, which is our favorite, wort jelly, which means undifferentiated, mesenchymal, and can become whatever it need, wherever it's needed.
And those are age 0 exosomes.
zero, yeah.
So they haven't been influenced by anything. There's two forms of stem cells and exosomes that are often extracted, and it's either the umbilical cord, which I also have some stuff I want to say about that because it's a little controversial and interesting, but also adipose tissue from like a young, healthy 20-something-year-old, which is from your fat cells.
And bone marrow.
And bone marrow.
And bone marrow. And they're all skin related. They used to say adipose is the closest. Again, everyone's going with umbilical cord, especially if you're injecting because it is age 0. So the idea is like if you're going to do a nano fat, meaning you get some lipo, it gets spun, it's made into more of a PRF or a PRP, liquidized fat. And then you put in a little, exosomes or stem cells, if you dare, for experiments for research, and you were to inject that, not really much for volume nanofat, but for skin clarity, for fine lines, for brightness,
and regeneration, the ability to heal.
Oh my God, do you look great, even at 50, 55. The question is, how long does it last?
Right.
And the answer is, how do you metabolize things?
And also, what is the quality of your PRP or your PRF? So I have a lot of young girls coming in asking, should I do PRF or PRP microneedling? What is it? I don't get it. Just to clarify, PRP, you get your blood drawn, they spin it. The red blood cells get separated from the plasma. So the platelet-rich plasma is the PRP. Mm-hmm. How old are you? Are you healthy? Do you have autoimmune disease? How's your diet? Like your overall physiology and biology, where are you at? Because that is going to affect how well that PRP
is going to work.
Of course. So a lot of times people are like, I'm not even going to mess with my own PRP because I have this autoimmune disease. I'm on antibiotics. I do this. I do that. I drink all the time, whatever. And they just go for the straight exosomes. But that's an important thing that isn't getting educated enough in the medical world. Obviously, they make money off telling people their PRP is great and it's coming out. It's free. The client is giving the blood and they're using that. They're not spending money on exosomes when they're using the PRP. So there's always, follow the money too, but that's a big factor. And so that's why people kind of supercharge their PRP with exosomes.
Ooh. So
because you're
both.
getting that boost of...
Well, you're not supposed to, but I just want to be sure to say that. You're not supposed to, but it can in theory.
Or in maybe research environments.
In a research environment, it can actually enhance the procedure. And the enhancement will also only last as long as the environment will allow. So it's tricking cells. It's working, right, on this like biochemical level of cell communication and introducing and acting. So the cells are behaving younger because there's these new cells giving them some life. But eventually what happens is the environment goes back to what we called homeostasis. So you need that re-inject again.
Boost again.
You need that boost and that booster. So
it's fascinating.
It is it's really fascinating. And also, I just want to make one point. Like, here's my thing about aging, because people always say to me, well, why, are you going to get a facelift, or, what are you doing for your aging? Like, what's your plan? Like, what's your plan?
By the way, Leslie's almost 60 and she looks insane.
Beautiful.
So
thank you.
She gets asked this question a lot.
So, like,
that's because you look good. So that's why people are asking you.
My plan is, I don't have a plan. I've watched a lot of my friends get really good work. The thing about good work is it doesn't last as long if you don't overcorrect, and who wants to overcorrect because you look weird. So I'm like, really like, how long can I get away with this is my plan. Also, here's the thing. This and this is connected to all of this.
Yeah.
And so what are we chasing here? Are we going to like also freak out that our knees don't look quite as tight and juicy as they once did in our 30s, but our face does? Like, to me, again, we talk about balance, and beauty to me is like an integrated whole. So if this isn't integrated with this, I don't see beauty. That's me. And I have to go with like I want to make myself happy.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend feels the same way. He's like a walking head, like that's like not disconnected from the body.
This looks so tight and like it's 30, but the rest of your body looks shriveled and wrinkly.
And you feel the need to always cover
sense.
up your whole body just to showcase the tight lifted face.
Yeah.
Like, that's
people
weird
are
and
gonna
not
know you're
organic.
Yeah. So, or the elbows, like, or, the
the
giveaway.
telltale sign, or the hands.
But if you
or
embrace it, like if you're like, I think age is sexy. It's wisdom. It's beauty. It's
and it's
spiritual.
a privilege to age.
It's a privilege.
Like,
I think life has gotten better as I've gotten older.
Yes, I agree. And wouldn't you agree, Leslie? Like,
you like yourself more. You can advocate for yourself. I never used to even be able to stick up for myself, and now I can advocate. That's not to say if I start looking like my friend said, the baseline is if you start looking like a melted candle, that's when you go. And I get it. Like, I don't want to look like a melted candle. I think women are working well in their 70s, 80s. Martha Stewart looks amazing. I think that's good work. I think there's really good work out there. And I think Kris Jenner, by the way, and I do want to say this because she's an extreme, obviously, I think she is a good message. You know why? She's relevant at 70. And that overall messaging to me isn't that positive, because it's allowing people to not think, oh, well, they're going to send me to the old folks home and I'm this age and there's nothing to live for. I've had my kids. I'm empty nesting. I don't have anything.
You can still live.
You can still
80,
live.
90.
And have energy.
Yeah.
And I
So
also
that's a net
think
positive.
there's this component too that's really prevalent right now is the biohacking and the longevity aspect of the world we live in that is so powerful. And maybe these things compounding over the next few years, especially as we age, we might not feel the need to overcorrect things because we might be biohacking and we're not going to age as fast and we're not
I think that
drinking as much as we did in our 20s. That
I'm
also
not
was
really
a
drinking
big
much
issue.
at all.
Yeah. It's these things just they change. And the more you know, the better you do. And I think the healthier you're going to age. And I think that's also a big factor as to take into consideration as we.
There are also like a lot of new peptides. I was talking about this earlier too with this week, but there are like new peptides and new treatments that are probably going to come online in the next like 5-10 years that can
Age delay.
reverse aging of your skin and your organs. Like there's lots of things that to look forward to where people might not need to reach for the needle and do as much Botox or for filler and things like that.
Right.
It's interesting to think about, like, maybe I want to age or I want to die because I've been here and I'm tired and I want to go transition into the next beautiful realm. Or maybe I don't, and I now have learned so much, and I'm just now getting good. How great that I can take these biohacks and live my best life, because I really am a late bloomer. So I love that we can
it's
have
totally
that.
possible.
Possible.
But you also have to treat your body with respect and with care.
Yep.
And, you know,
Your
feed
body
it the
is a
things
temple.
that yes, I've literally been saying this for like over 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
But if you're not eating the right foods and hydrating and doing all of these things that keep your insides youthful, I mean, you can try to biohack and all of these things, but if your diet is ultra processed foods and you're drinking too much
plastics
and you're drinking too much alcohol, like there is a certain point where like all the biohacking you do isn't just going to reverse all the damage that you're causing.
Yeah.
So like we need to obviously be wary that like, yes, there will be things that are coming into play that will help us stay younger, but you also still have to do the things to take care of your body.
Yeah. And I think that's a big conversation in the treatment room too for us. It's like people are so overwhelmed. We get overwhelmed. We like can't even look at Instagram some days because it's just like coming at you left and right with like, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And have you heard of this supplement and these benefits and this? And it's like, I need a break. And people come in and they ask us like, what can I do that's easy? Like what's a first step to like living a clean life or cleaning up my body or whatever. And it's everything you just said. We usually recommend a food sensitivity test and we're like, just figure out what's inflaming your body and just try to lessen the inflammation. Another thing I talk a lot about is microplastics, because that was one thing that affected me and my hormones postpartum. After my second baby, I didn't get my period back for like 18 months postpartum. I'm like, why is it not coming back? And I was in a stressful situation. I was breastfeeding. He was a very intense breastfeeder.
Because I didn't get my period back until I stopped breastfeeding. So were you breastfeeding for a long time?
Yes, I was.
So that's why.
Well, that was part of it. But I also did, I work with this woman who does intuitive care and kind of muscle testing, kind of. It's a little woo-woo, but I always take her 2 cents and then I go get like blood tests and I take the 2 and I make some choices. But she was like, I'm getting a really big read on you in microplastics and the xenoestrogens, I think is what the microplastics cause in the body. You have this overgrowth of estrogen.
Interesting.
And
it's a problem. It's cancer too.
Yeah. And so I cut out microplastics hardcore and I got I took some homeopathic medication.
And you got your period back.
And I got my period back. And it's just interesting. I mean, you got to always come back to the intuition in your gut. And like I keep saying, I want to know all the information. I want to ask all the questions. I want to lay it all out in front of me and be like, what sounds good for me? Like what makes sense to me? And then move through life that way. But yeah, we help our clients out figuring that out. Maybe it's like just cut out dairy for a couple weeks, see if that changes anything for you.
If you could go back and tell yourself, your younger self, one thing, what would it be?
it would actually be to trust my gut sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt these pulls, and like I went to college for 1 year, and when I was in the office, like signing away, the $100,000 for the remaining 3 years, I was like, this doesn't feel right, and actually followed my gut. That was the first time I like had a literal gut punch, and I'm like, I'm not going to sign these. I'm going to take a year off. And then I ended up moving to LA and starting my life. But it's those moments where you just follow your gut. You don't know exactly why it seems wrong sometimes. Like not finishing college right now would be like the death of me. And it felt like that for a minute, but it ended up being one of the smartest things I could have done for myself financially and, to get myself to where I am today.
Beautiful.
So yeah, following my gut. That's me.
What about you, Leslie?
It's always a hard one because there's so many things that by the time you're my age that you think about. But I would say the one that I'm thinking of right now is probably don't sweat the small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. That's a really important one. Mm-hmm. I think that we live in a society where it can feel like these little things are they can like trigger. They can also like trigger you so much for some reason for whatever trauma you have, like in your body, and you get triggered, and so something small becomes a big thing, and then like it comes out in other ways, and you're like sweating all of these things that shouldn't stress you out. I mean, that happens to me, and so I think it's really important to not make the small things such a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because there are bigger things that are more important.
Yeah, perspective is everything, and I just think with each year, with each decade, each big experience, like that becomes more and more clear.
Yeah.
And don't love yourself in a box. You're going to change. Allow that.
Yeah.
And notice the people that love you through every phase that you go through. Because some people can't handle certain phases of you, and you notice either you let go of them or they let go of you. But notice the people that cheer you on no matter what phase you're in and kind of support you and love you unconditionally, because those people are the ones that you want to keep around. Yeah. And do the same for.
I'm going to end with a little prayer.
Love it.
That. May we carry what we need, release what we don't, and stay open to the magic that is unfolding. Thank you for sipping your matcha and sharing your heart with me today.
Oh, thank you, Dina. That was so sweet. It gave me chills. Thank you.
I love this.
Thanks for listening to No Matcha, No Mama. If you loved the episode, share with a friend, leave a review, or come say hi on Instagram. My handle's at Dina De Laurentiis. And if you want to connect with my lovely ladies, they have handles, but you can also check them out at Skin Worship, and they have a website if you'd like to book any treatment. And please don't forget to subscribe to my Spotify podcast or my YouTube channel. And remember, thriving takes intention. See you next time.